Hi, Sonali.
Hi Naresh, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, I'm great. Thanks so much for hopping on this call with me.
It's my pleasure.
I have a lot of these LinkedIn Live conversations, and sometimes I feel like I merely attend different events and conferences to seek out my next guest. And I think in this context, this is very much true. So, for the people who have no idea about who Naresh is, let's give a little bit of a context. But before that, for people who don't know who I am, my name is Sonali. I'm the founder of a company called Humanize. We help other organizations create inclusive working cultures. But today's guest is also someone who does something very similar in their own space, in their own way, right? So Naresh is the co-founder of Remote Star, and very recently went supremely viral on the internet. Like lots of reels, lots of posts, like just like everywhere. I could see that post everywhere going around. It was very very cool. And honestly, I was not even sure that your team is kind of planning like an in-person event. It was called as Real to Real. And I got to know this because of my friend Pooja, who was also a guest previously on this platform. Told me that, hey, Sonali, do you know this event that's happening? I was like, I don't know. And then she said, have you seen that face mask reel? I said, oh, yeah, I have. And then she's like, hey, they're actually doing like a India tour of sorts. And Bangalore happens to be the space that they're coming in. And I was like, you're kidding. I mean, I've never heard something so crazy like this, that people actually want to meet people in real life. A lot of people go mostly viral virtually and keep doing similar stuff, but you all really wanted to connect. And that's how I met you. And I just automatically knew that for the kind of work I do and for the reason why y'all went viral, it had to be a proper conversation to kind of figure out what goes in your head. So, for context, this is how I met Naresh and this is how this happened. But for things that I don't know and for things that people don't know, Naresh, if you want to give us an introduction, tell us who you are.
Sure, Sonali. So, yeah, Naresh, as you know, I'm CEO of Remote Star. So, my journey has been a typical techie journey. I started as a software engineer and then moved on to architect, manager, head of software, CTO, and I wanted to build my own business from a long time. So, in 2020, I got that opportunity. I left my corporate career and started working on remote stuff. I'm passionate about remote working. Actually, I'm more passionate about cutting down the commute time and use that time more productively. And that is the main reason I'm, quite passionate about remote work. It's not just work from home. It is basically to reduce the unproductive commute time is what my passion is. So I'm building an AI startup in hiring space, which is called Remote Star.
Wonderful. So, Naresh, wanted to know that a lot of founders build something, from their, like you mentioned that, like from their pain point. And
Mhm.
you kind of mentioned that you've named your company Remote Star. I love that the
Yeah,
word star is also, it's not just remote working or, like
yeah.
digital nomad kind of a thing. What is your story about remote working? Any like hits or misses?
Yeah, sure. So, in my last organization, where I was like head of software, I was leading a team of complete remote developers, and that made me think that it was such a productive team. They were usually on spot with the timing. They used to start work at 9 o'clock, and they were very productive team away from, to be honest, with office politics and gossips and all those things. Very productive bunch of people, and that made me think like. Why other companies are not leveraging remote work, why they are restricting themselves to just 10 kilometers radius of finding the talent. And when I researched into it more, I realized that maybe the technology wasn't there until 10, 15 years ago. And to be honest, in my career, I've been going into the office space to work remotely for all entire my career. There was never even a single year where I haven't worked with anyone who is not sitting in the same office. So we have been working remotely. Only thing is we have been going to into an office space because the broadband speeds were not good enough for us to work productively from our home space. So now the broadband speeds and technology is there. We are here on the Zoom call, Google Meet, and all those things. It is much more productive in certain areas, certain sectors. It is much more productive to work remotely. So, and it also helps people to these busy places like London, New York, Bombay, Bangalore, even the real estate is not affordable, so the quality of life is not that great. So I feel like with remote work it can help a lot of companies get access to the global talent, as well as for the employees also. It helps them improve the quality of their life, especially people who have families. Like, they keep running around, and their life is quite stressful because they have to commute every morning for 2 hours, every evening for 2 hours. Doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think after COVID, it became way more practical. Before COVID, a lot of people would often say that no, this is not possible. It's only possible for smaller companies. It's only possible for a certain industry, certain kind of company, certain type of team members, right? But COVID taught us that everything is possible. When there's a will, there's a way, and all companies, all industries, the entire world went remote, and we were all fine. We were all functioning perfectly. And I worked
Exactly.
in multiple different formats. And like you mentioned, the whole commute thing, it's very frustrating. And most importantly, sometimes it's also not very good for your health. Like if I am at home, I'm going to eat good food. I
Yeah.
will get adequate rest. A lot of people are developing all kinds of problems. And because of the heat, right? In India, it's really hot right now. It gets very crazy, and also like it's more inclusive. I mean, I am a pet parent. I live with my parents as well, so sometimes I feel like they need me around. My pets need me around. For people who with all kinds of um,
Yeah.
dependencies, it's like a boon. We want more companies like that.
And also, it is more inclusive from a point of view that you give equal opportunity to all the employees. I have always seen in my career that there was always this culture of head office versus remote office. Like, people sitting in head office were making all the decisions because they're sitting next to each other. All the decision makers, main decision makers, are sitting in head office. And then people from remote offices were feeling left out because they were not part of those discussions. With remote work, you can make it completely equal for everyone, so that no one is escaped from making those important decisions.
That's really so true. I mean, I'm a very social person. Most probably in the offices, I love talking to people. I love meeting people, and in my remote working stint, I would really miss that because I would miss hanging out with my team. But honestly, we were able to replicate that kind of those water cooler conversations even in a virtual setup. Of course, we would meet
Yeah.
each other whoever it is possible. Right? Not all of us live in the same place or even country in a lot of sense, in a lot of ways, but we were able to like just have, let's say, like a 15-20 minutes ranting call. Let's have some lunch and just talk some talk some rant out about some a good day, a bad day, all those kind of things. So we can be more unique about our approach. Not all conversations or calls need to be very serious. We don't have to have so many strict rules and guidelines around it. I think a little bit of fun is always helpful.
Definitely.
So, Naresh, people now have given you all kinds of very interesting names. They're calling you the internet's favorite CEO, the cool CEO, the viral CEO, right? And they really love you. The comments are popping and blowing, and it's going all kinds of crazy. And I know that you've made a reel specifically on Instagram saying that I've received hundreds of DMs and I really can't get to you. That must
Yeah.
be really, really awesome. And also, like, I'm guessing super surprising because all of your team members were like, we had no idea it's going to just grow up and just blow out like that. But very curious that, hey, fame and virality aside, what does it look like for people in your team on a random Tuesday, on a random Wednesday? Like, how are they working? What's the culture like?
Yeah, sure. So for us, Monday is for us, as a team to set the goals for the week. We want to understand what exactly everyone is working on, what is the goals which we want to achieve, and then for Tuesday, it is for me to step back and see my team take the wheels and run the business for me, and take the full ownership and get on with the work. So, and it's usual. I'm there to support my team. I deliberately, try to. If I'm still making decisions on Tuesday, then maybe I've failed on my planning meeting on Monday. So Tuesday onwards, it's more relaxing for me, and might give the full ownership to my team.
That's really great, I think. So, I want to know, when you say remote, right? Remote working. Is it, do you all have a certain office hours, people log in and log out at a particular time, or people work across, different time zones? How do you manage those moving aspects?
So we do have certain hours where we expect, and again, this is nothing nowhere written down. It's kind of understood that there are certain daily calls and meetings where everyone have to be present because we have to communicate with each other. Apart from that, we don't track anyone's time. It's completely flexible for them. My focus is always on result. If they're getting the results, then I don't care what time they are working. In fact, when I see people working odd times, I do have to remind them that, guys, I hope that they're not getting burnt out, and why are they working in late in the night. But sometimes the response I get is because they had something else to dealt with during the daytime, and that's the reason they're working in the night, or they find it more. That's their time where when they're more productive. So I'm like, okay, whatever works for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's really great. And is there like any certain guidelines around where they should work out of? Like, do everyone have like a base location, or can they work from anywhere in the world? Or is it like certain cafes, or like how do you manage that aspect?
Again, no guidelines there. Of course, they can work from anywhere. Um, I'm aware that there are some tax implications and all those things, but we haven't got into that side yet because, I mean, they don't go and work from another country. As long as they are in the same country, I don't care where they work from. In fact, I would encourage them to go on a trip and do go on vacations, but instead of taking long holidays, they can still work from those places comfortably, and if they want to do so. And but if they want to just take leave, that's also we encourage them to take enough leaves as well. So wherever they feel it is more productive for them.
Awesome. I mean, I think you've gotten things covered. What, it's been like 5 years, 6 years for y'all?
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. So, in the beginning of the journey, did you face any specific challenges because of the remote working? Like, did anyone you hired initially take you for a ride, and then, did not come for meetings, or you didn't know, were absent? Any of those experiences?
Yeah, those things also happen, and we are able to spot those characteristics early enough, like within few weeks. So we are able to spot those kind of people. We tell them that what is our expectation, and we if they don't fit our culture, we let them go.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. And how do you know? Like, I mean, I think this is a little hiring related, and I'm very curious. Like, remote working now has become such a what do you say, exciting thing, such an
Mhm.
attractive thing, because if you look at tech companies, big companies in India, they're calling big people back to offices. Initially it was one day, then it became 2 days, now 3 days, now some alternative days, and some organizations are working 5 days a week. So the rise of people wanting to work for remote working organizations has increased. So, how do you know that the person who you're hiring or interviewing for has that discipline, for the lack of better word, and that acumen to deliver and work in a remote working organization, and does not get like swayed and get distracted, or kind of unable to figure out how to make that work? Is there any
Yeah.
any stories around that?
Yeah, sure. So we do look for candidates who are very good at their time management and planning things, and they are self-organized. So we do intentionally ask some interview questions which are around these things, and we see that do they have that culture of taking the ownership and delivering the stuff without any supervision. So those are the things which we focus on in our interviews because, as you said, I mean, remote work, it is very difficult for us to monitor each and every activity, and we don't want people. It doesn't matter even if they are junior. There are some people who are inherently like you just give them the problem to solve, and they will go and find the solution. So are they more solution oriented, or they would need a lot of hand holding? So those are the kind of people we look for.
Nice, fair enough, fair enough. So I'm going to take like a 1 second pause and let people know that, hey, I've been getting a few comments online, just like claps and hey, this is exciting, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to pop a few out here. Um, what I also want people to do is interact with us. If you are building your own company, team, project, whatever it is, and you want to take things remote, ask us questions, ask Naresh questions. He's doing it. He's sharing his his own perspectives. Or if you want to become a better remote worker as well, also like pop in those questions. I'm sure there are. Uh, each of us has our own ways of do's and don'ts, best practices. We can share that with you as well, because as a company it takes a lot of courage to encourage remote workers, because it's a very weird kind of a mindset of like wanting to keep tabs on people. That itself takes some time to unlearn. But as people who want to work remotely, you also have to be wired a little different. So if you have any such questions, please do ask us. So yeah, all right, back to the conversation. So Naresh, now that you've been branded cool, right? You everywhere are like cool, viral, exciting, interesting. I want to know, is there like a least cool thing about being a CEO that people don't know, can't guess? Anything that you don't like personally?
Um, I would say the least cool thing for me is to intentionally stop myself to be the coolest person in the room or smartest person in the room, because as a CEO, as a founder, it's very intuitive for me to jump in and solve the problems for my team. But a lot of time I have to keep my mouth shut and sit there and wait for the team to come up with a solution. Otherwise, what will happen is we'll build a culture where I have to come up with solution every time and they will just become followers. I want them to actually think and come up with the solutions and take the ownership of all the problems. Otherwise, the business will not be able to scale.
That is such an underrated skill. I feel the art of delegation without wanting to like handhold people, like, and I have faced it myself. Like, I love designing. I go really like nerdy about all kinds of design elements, and I have a background in design. But sometimes
Yeah.
I feel that hey, I get so excited with this that that's not my core job. I should be doing something else. So if I've hired people or if they're part of my team, I get so like my fingers itch. I really want to tell them that hey, there's a better way to do it. There's a
Yeah.
shortcut. There's a certain tool or a certain mindset that you're missing. But I'm like very like no, let them figure it out. Let them ask me. I don't want to be the person who micromanages and does everything. So it's a real skill that you have developed. Did it take you time to do this?
Certainly, it took me time to understand all these things, and it felt a bit counterintuitive initially. That hey, I have the solution, but I'm not giving it to my team, so I want them to struggle a little bit. Of course, if they get blocked, then I will come up with solutions. But it felt very counterintuitive. But later on, once I started practicing this, in medium term, it used to give me much better results from my team. Then I don't have to be present in the room for them to make decisions for the business.
Fair enough. I think even as team members, right? I have like a mixed audience. I'm sure like people who follow you are also not only owners and business, founders. They're also employees and team members. So this is again something that makes you stand out. If you're entering a meeting, if you've been given a task and you've hit like a wall somewhere, don't just go with the problem. Go with some solution. Say that hey, I got stuck here. I tried you know to get out of it by doing A, then I got stuck, I did B, but I now came to you because I have no way and we are losing time and this is important. What else can you tell me? Like, it shows initiative. It shows that you also want to use your own brain, because I think more and more we are getting dependent on other people, other AI apps and tools than our own creativity and your own problem solving. This will really put people across, right? I mean, as a founder myself, I would also want to have talent around me who does a little bit of pushing themselves, does a little bit of thinking themselves, and not just comes to me. All right. So, Naresh, talking about leadership, right? There are like so many ways, so many like books, seminars, masterclasses, all that kind of stuff that's happening. But then, do you think that the current set of leaders across industries are doing some kind of an overperformance? Are they like trying too hard to be a leader? And if yes, or whatever your view is there a way that because of their leadership and the way they're trying too hard or they're overperforming, that is it costing the team? Is it costing the company?
Um, yeah, absolutely. I think there is a As you said, that they are overperforming as a leader. I mean, too many CEOs or leaders, I feel, are having this kind of a founder persona that they have to be the loudest person in the room. They have to be the smartest person in the room because people are looking towards them as a leader, someone who is knowledgeable. I think once you get out of that persona and you accept that you don't have to be the smartest person, and in fact, um, if you are the only smartest person in the room compared to another leader where you are hiring more people who are smarter than you to run the business, guess which business is going to be more successful and which business is going to be more scalable. So business cannot run with just one person. You need to build a team of people smarter across. So as a leader, I would say don't overdo it. Just accept what you don't know, and just be open with your team so that they can come up with the solutions in the areas where you are not confident about, and together as a team you will make the business more and more successful and scalable.
Perfect. But like you mentioned that leaders also want to show that they are smartest in the room, they know everything. Do you feel like, I don't know, you can share your own experience as well. If you are not the smartest and there are other team members who are smarter than you and you have hired them for that caliber, does the team like look at you as any less? Or is that the narrative that leaders will think, oh, if I don't come across a certain way, my team won't respect me, or maybe my hold as a leader will go down? Any thoughts on that?
I don't think so because I think yes, in some instances they can think like that, or those kind of thoughts may cross the mind. But again, it's a balance, right? So as a leader, you have to still give the direction of the company, what as a business you want to achieve, and those directions can come from you, and of course with the contribution of the team members. But if someone is smarter than you, then you should not feel threatened about it. And in fact, in some respect, it could be a better thing for that person to think that I'm smarter than my CEO and I can do much bigger things. Fine, let them deliver those results for the business, and eventually, if they want to go and set up their own business, then that could be a natural career move for them. And so, for that reason, I would not feel threatened. Of course, I can, as a leader, I can try to improve and learn from all these my team members as well. But I don't think it will challenge me as an authority. I think it's much more as a leader you can offer to your team rather than just be the smartest person in the room.
Fair enough. Do you have any such stories of your own where you were not the smartest person and that made you feel like really proud that you've hired the right team?
Oh yeah, I mean I can't give you a specific example, but this I try to do this almost every day with my team. Like almost every day, I ask them. Like even today, I was asking someone in my team, like, why are you asking me? Like, what is your opinion on this? What will be your decision? And they just made the same decision which I would have gone ahead with. So it happens all the time with me, and that makes them feel more and more confident as well.
Very nice. So, Remote Star team, if you're watching it, he's giving you all the nuggets to be a better team member, right? So, you should like grab it and take it and, and implement it. So, like there are so many ways in which you want to measure the team's success, right? We spoke a little bit about hiring and getting the right people on board and culture and all. Is there some specific things that you feel your team does or can do that can make you feel like, yeah, we're doing something right, we've built the right kind of team, we've got the right people here, we're thinking in the right direction? Or any wow moments that you have had in the recent past? Of course, the video is one such kind of experiment. I'm guessing that was completely like surprise for you, it was, you had no idea. But anything other than that?
Yeah, so definitely that video was definitely a surprise element to me. I was underestimating the power of marketing and making reels and personal branding and all those things. And when that reel went viral, I mean, I was completely amazed at what it has done to my business and to me as well. Um, the other things which I can mention is when I see a junior member openly challenging me that Naresh, I think you're wrong here. That's when I feel like I have built the right culture in the team, so that no one is afraid of giving feedback even to the CEO. I always encourage my team to give raw feedback to everyone in the team member. So I give them this analogy that you are in a boat in the middle of the sea, and if there is a hole in the boat, you can't just say that, okay, this is not my job, this is someone else's department, or we all will sink. It's a startup, so we need those raw feedback, how painful it would be. And I also encourage my other team members that, look, if someone is giving you a feedback, and maybe that feedback might not be correct, but still, you need to understand why this person is giving that feedback to you. What something is definitely, we need to improve, whether it is right or wrong, so which is going to help the business. I think the for me, the lack of fear is the strongest metric for me for success. And that is one thing which I also like about Gen Z. They are not afraid of speaking out. They just don't take, they just don't follow everything, which probably was more there in my generation, where we would never question back to our leaders or parents or teachers. We'll blindly follow them. So it's not a disrespect. It is having that courage to ask the question whether they are right or wrong.
Perfect. This is great. I think Gen Z is a topic that a lot of people are trying to figure out. We also do a lot of programs around, helping managers manage Gen Zs better. So I want to understand from your point of view. I know you have a very, very young team, very vibrant team. Again, remote working, people all around the world, all across India from various cities, cultures, backgrounds. Um, is Do you think Gen Zs are misunderstood? And is there like some best practice or some success story you've had with them where you figured out the right way to work with them? Any nuggets that the leaders can pick up today?
Yeah, as I just said, I think they are misunderstood. I think they need a purpose, and they need why they are working on certain thing. They are just not working for a paycheck. And I think they are also not afraid of putting their voice out there. They're not camera shy. They are, they are very smart, and they are happy to, speak out. And that is the level of quality you need from almost every employee in your company. So I really enjoy working with Gen Z. That is a kind of culture, and to be honest, that is a culture I've seen while I've been in UK for a long time. So this is a culture I have seen, and this was something I felt like is missing a little bit in Indian culture. And so I felt like it's very good that this new generation is asking all those questions. um, yeah, so on the other side, I have never, I'm very happy with my Gen Z team, and I found them very hardworking, to be honest. Provided we can nurture them properly, and we give them the purpose, we tell them why they are working on this, and we should encourage them to also speak out if something is not right. And you need to know all those things immediately, otherwise your business will be in crisis.
Interesting. So I know purpose is definitely something that is very, very important for them. How do you keep your team engaged and excited about work? Like, a lot of companies that have physical offices, they do events, they do, let's go out or let's do Friday night outs. And the fact that, most people eventually find their own tribe, at least they have one work best friend or they get along with their manager. Those are all reasons why people want to continue working at that company. But when it comes to
Yeah.
remote working, those things are automatically difficult to do and replicate. So, any thoughts on that? What have you done so far?
Yeah, so with remote work, you have to put a little bit more extra efforts. And so we have like Team Social every Friday, where we come online and play some games together and interact with each other, or just have some banter about things. And uh, also, we have this quarterly or every 6 months, we do an offsite where everyone can meet each other. And then we also encourage people who are in the same geographical region to meet each other and all those things. So we encourage all those things. Look, the Gen Z has grown up with in the online world, so I think we may find it quite difficult to understand, but they are okay. They play games online, they interact with other people online, so it's not nothing a new thing for them. So I don't see much of an issue with respect to that. And I think if you can have a healthy balance, like, you are working remotely, but every quarter, every 6 months, you're bringing the team together. I think that much of interaction is good enough. And now, of course, on the other side, on the human, psychology point of view, or loneliness, if that is what is happening with some people, then they can always go to nearby co-working space and interact with other people. The remote work doesn't mean like you have to be isolated and work from your own home. It just, for me, it just means that cut down the commute time and work from wherever you want. Like, so they, if they are really feeling lonely, they can make friends in a nearby co-working space or cafe.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, co-working space and cafes are definitely my favorite places to work out of. I've met such very interesting people there, and so many people who are solopreneurs or have small teams or work remotely, work out of these different co-working spaces, and we become our own little company, like a hub. We all know each
Exactly.
other. We all go out. It's really exciting and fun. You have that flavor, but you're still not like you're not colleagues. So there, that facade of being a little like politically correct with each other,
Yeah.
or trying to be careful that I should not say anything bad about that other person, I don't know, that trustability, office politics, those all are all the things that gets eliminated.
Yeah, and also you get more exposed to other companies, other cultures of those companies, and what innovative ideas they are working on, how other companies are using marketing, and you can learn from them as well, and maybe bring some dose of positive things in your organization as well. So that could be
Absolutely.
another positive side of working in a co-working space where maybe you don't have anyone from your own company, but there are people from other companies working in the same environment.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really really nice, and I totally agree. We get to learn so much, right? And I've met designers from specific companies, and they've shown me, oh, these are all the apps I use. I see the way they work and the way they like kind of design their work desk. It's very fascinating just to, I think, watch people at work is a weird kind of a fascination I have. It's you get to learn a lot from them.
Yeah.
Now, Naresh, the whole, you were mentioning a lot about marketing and how the team kind of definitely took you by surprise. Even when I met the team in Bangalore when you did the whole event, I got hold of a few of your team members and they were like, we were also not sure how this is going to go out, but we said, let's give it a try, all of that. So now that things have turned out supremely positively for all of you, um, has this element of being and going viral changed how your team sees you or how you see yourself?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely they see me as a hero now. No, that's a joke. So, yeah, we definitely look. I think the team is more confident. I am more confident, and the one thing which we all realize is that we have gone viral because of our culture, and that culture is not just me; it's the entire team. So the whole team is quite proud about what we have built here as a culture in Remote Star. What was shocking for them is so many people, like millions of people have uh, the kind of comments they have seen. So the thing which is a bit shocking for them is that is the work life really bad out there? And it is so good here in remote. So I know there are a lot of good companies out there as well, but certainly there is some workplace culture issue going on. And so this reel went viral. I don't think it was a coincidence. There was an underlying issue. So that is also the realization they have. And now what we are also discussing internally is how we can continue this momentum and build something, of course, build remote star in a way, continuing with the same culture and build a successful business from that. But how can we also help other organizations to build the same culture without, in fact, what we strongly believe is for us, the fun culture doesn't mean the productivity is going down or people are just having fun here at remote star, and the focus is always on the business. In fact, on the contrary, it is like by having this fun culture and building a culture of trust and ownership can we increase the bottom line of the business and improve the productivity of the business by 20-30%? That is what we this is what we feel is going to happen if businesses stop micromanaging their employees and build this the culture of trust and ownership.
I totally agree. I think what people are really missing is the excitement of working. And I don't hear it a lot. If you go out with friends or if you just talk about work with people in general, they'll tell you what they do, and probably the next couple of sentences will be about how bad it is. They'll talk something negative. It
Yeah,
could be around, oh, the commute is bad, it's too super far, or I'm a very bad manager. I have a few clients that are very annoying. The current project is very, demanding, or I work in a different shift, so I don't get enough sleep. There's n number of complaints that people have, and very few people upfront say anything good about the company or anything good about their job and their work. We have to kind of coax it out of them that, hey, why are you working there, right? And if I ask them that, why are you still there, why don't you look for a different job, I the intent is to get something positive for them to think, oh, okay, it's not all bad. But it's always like, oh, I'm looking or oh, the economy is bad, and now it's not the right time to switch, or I'm waiting for my promotion that
yeah,
was promised to me like 6 months back, and once I get it, I'll be in a better position to shift, right? So
yeah,
these are all like not such great things. It's not at all in the company's favor. And
yeah,
this is honestly something that companies don't openly talk or think about, the experience of the employee in that organization, no matter at which level they are, right? The experience, somewhat of the top level employees are still considerably okay, because at the end of the day they take home a fat paycheck. Everything makes it easy for them. They'll be like, it's shitty and it's bad, but at least I get to live the kind of life I do. But for people who are just entering, who are in the middle layer of the management, bringing that negativity to work in any format, it's not always great, because you're always looking for that out. It's like you're in a very toxic loop, and the moment you find an out, you're just going to run out that door. And so,
yeah. And also, it is about the bigger, discussion about the purpose of the life, and we spend 30% of our time at the workplace, and if that workplace is toxic, you're constantly stressed out. And I've seen people going through mental health issues and medical issues because of the workplace culture. So if we can make it much more better for those employees, and also, to be honest, managers as well. I don't think any manager wants to use beat everyone to work 8 hours a day. It's so stressful for even the managers as well. So if the employees and manager, all of them understand, by building this culture of trust and ownership, it will be much more productive for the company. It will be good for employees as well. And in fact, if the employees start enjoying the work, they might even put 1 or 2 hours extra out of passion. So that is the culture we should aim to build. So no one has to ask them to work extra and all those things, and the business will see the results as well. So that will be a win-win scenario for both the business leaders and the employees as well, and
yeah,
everyone will have more healthy life as well, free from
absolutely.
stress.
Absolutely, you're right. I think a lot of times, if I have to like rate what is the biggest problems that employees are having, it's a bad manager, or it's a very toxic, difficult manager. And when I talk to managers, managers also have the same problem with their higher ups and their team members. So now
Yeah,
I'm thinking, who's been like who is pointing fingers, who's the problem? And a lot of companies who promote people to the managerial level, they hardly do 1 or 2 days of leadership,
uh,
workshops, days, retreats, and that's about it. This is such a crucial skill. It's a social skill. It's a EQ, right? You cannot like just randomly outsource that, like a career path of a few people in the hands of someone who you're not sure about their capability. A lot of
yeah,
these managers become managers because they're good at being independent contributors. They're not really good at managing people. That's also a big loop. Personality matters. Is that person really another people's person? I think one of the best things I've seen was when I was working with a specific manager that we all loved. A colleague of mine had gotten an opportunity to go to a different organization, which was definitely bigger, better in all ways. but I still found like her hesitating a bit. And we had a very heart to heart conversation. I said, "Why are you hesitating? This looks like your dream job." And she said, "Sonali, I don't know if I'm going to find a team like us, and I definitely don't know if I'm going to find the kind of manager that we have here. And this is very difficult because I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I'm going to be and who's going to be my mentor, my coach, and my leader. It's definitely not going to add up to the person that we are working with right now." So that's like a huge thing, because that manager and their style was so good that it just kept all of us at ease. We just
Yeah.
knew that there's no walking on eggshells, there's no like favoritism, there's no bias, there's no snarky comments, none of those unnecessary things. There's no power play. It was all nice and smooth, but we got the job done. In fact, we used to work and put our efforts because we wanted our manager to be the best manager. We wanted
Yeah.
people to see their leadership as the best thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
this really works.
Definitely.
Right. So, Naresh, again, I'm sure I spoke to a few of your team members. You're expanding, you're hiring, you're in the hiring business as well. So you're getting eyeballs. I'm sure people want to work with you and your organization at the moment. So now they have a little bit of a, I wouldn't say completely superficial, but some understanding of, or an assumption of who you are and who the company is and the culture of the organization is a certain way, and it may or may not match up when they really enter, right? They might come in for the cool CEO experience, right? Again, good or bad, or neutral as well. Do you think anything, if they come with that mindset or that expectation assumption, would anything surprise them?
Yeah, I would say totally. It will surprise them because what they have seen is the most likely the fun part of working at Remote Star. With the culture which we have, the culture of trust and ownership. With ownership, it comes with a lot of accountability as well. So now they have to, when they come in into Remote Star, they are completely accountable for their own work, and they have to deliver on those results. No one, we are not going to spoon feed them. We are going to give them all the support, necessary support, but having that ownership comes with a lot of responsibility as well. So which it doesn't come with a normal employee kind of mindset, and they have to be completely responsible for their outcomes. So it's not an easy task, to be honest. There's nowhere to hide in our organization.
Fair enough. That's, I think, as black and white as you can put it across, and it's true, right? The reason why you wanted to start this company was because you wanted to take away the pain of commuting and give back those hours to them,
Yeah.
and at the same time you did not want to breathe on people's neck, right? I'm also not a fan of micromanaging. In fact, I feel managing, or like micromanaging people is another headache that takes a lot
Exactly.
of energy.
Yeah.
Why should I ask you about updates? Just give me updates on your own. Even if you don't have, just tell me, Sonali, I'm still working on it, right? I don't want to
Yeah.
have that tab open in my head thinking, oh, what is this person doing? What's this project going on? Like all these things, again, you learn on the job, but I think we have to pick up things faster. On that note, we have received a comment. Someone on LinkedIn is saying, people are excited to work and performing great as well, but unfortunately, they get devalued. It impacts mental health somewhere. So, any thoughts on that? How can we keep the momentum high? How can we maybe appreciate people? Any comp and bend practices that you do at your org?
I mean, two things which are coming to my mind is it's a failure of their leadership to recognize their effort and the hard work they are putting in. Devalued, said it's a failure of their leadership. So that's on the management side. On the employee side, I can say that think about, sometimes you have to market yourself, and maybe it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, but you have to go out and market the achievements you have been able to achieve in your organization with the hard work you are doing. So you need to showcase that as well. Sometimes leaders are very busy and they might just overlook that you have done such a good work. And to be honest, if 10 things are going right, one thing is going wrong, as a leader, naturally my focus will be on that one thing to make it right. And I might not, sometimes I may not recognize the efforts from certain team members. So it's also, don't be shy and go and talk to your manager that this is how you're feeling. And the other thing is, don't leave it for too long. That open communication should always be there. So it should not be a case that it's building up inside you and suddenly you are completely demotivated to work anymore. So the moment you see that there hasn't been any recognition, fair enough, go and talk to your leader. They might have genuinely forgotten about it, or they might have it might have genuinely slipped from their mind. So just go and have an open communication.
No, this is great. I think another thing that has become more of a practice in certain spaces is just kind of sending some reports or some, like, wouldn't I mean report is can be can sound daunting and too heavy for people, but just like a summary of activities you have done throughout the week, right? And sometimes without even the manager asking, just have a small template, and week on week just keep sending the manager updates, so the manager knows that this person is just on top of things, this person knows, right? And even for your own self, I think mental health is everyone's responsibility. Definitely we don't want companies to take that for granted, but as an individual as well, I'm a very big advocate of kind of, at the end of the day, you don't want to sit sad just for other people. Take the onus and the responsibility to kind of boost your own motivation up, right? At the end of the day, if you only focus that, hey, this person should come and uplift me, it gets very difficult because everybody is trying to do that for themselves. So have like a brag folder. Any appreciation you get, add a label, and just add it to a folder. Take screenshots, put it on your on your in your phone. Send it to yourself so you have another copy of it. Send it in your family group so people in your family get excited, right? Because these
Yeah.
are smaller things, smaller updates by virtue of which you will feel good, even if it is a small message from a client, and you feel like it's not such a big deal for your manager or for your team. Send it to your mother, send it to your dad. You'll see the kind of hype they give you. They'll be like, oh my god, I can't believe it, and that will make your day. So
Yeah,
smaller
that's
ways.
true. And also, just remember that managers or leaders are not perfect. They're also humans. They may make mistakes. So, again, you need to bring it to them, their attention in a very respectful, polite way that, look, you're feeling like that. And the moment your manager will realize, okay, this guy has been delivering his work for last 3 months, 4 months without any issue, but I have never appreciated this guy because a consistent delivery of the things is also needs a much bigger appreciation, to be honest, compared to someone who has just done one work in last 4 months. And so it's very easy, for leaders also to miss all these things. So I would say just go and talk to them openly,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
don't
no.
think your managers are perfect.
Yeah. On this note, we have another question. Somebody is asking, what if your leaders don't want to get highlighted? I probably this means they don't want to be called out or spoken to, or those kind of, like, any kind of a feedback mechanism they
So
don't appreciate.
what if your leaders don't want to get highlighted? Leaders don't want to get highlighted, or they don't want to
Probably that.
highlight the employee.
Yeah, I guess so. Or maybe they're not, like, as a leader, maybe they're not up for feedback. Like you mentioned, that have an open communication. What if they're not open to kind of, like, like, getting any kind of criticism back to them? They only want to hear the good things.
Yeah, true. I mean, again, I have seen a lot of those as well. So again, I would say a leader who doesn't want is open to um, get feedback. I think you are dealing with a person who doesn't want to learn and improve in his life, and he thinks he is perfect. I think you're dealing with a difficult person. I would say again, the only piece of advice I can give you is think about, I tell this to all of my employees as well, like the age we are living in, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old guy is running $1 billion business. So just put that hat on and think about Can't you just deal with a difficult person? If people at your age are running billion-dollar business, just read about it, maybe ask AI, learn how to deal with that person in one way or other. What makes him happy? What does he want to hear? And take your feedback on board. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. So again, I'm talking about human psychology and dealing with humans here, but it's not that difficult. So maybe think about in that way. Again, I know that's not a perfect answer, but that's the only advice I can give.
Perfect, perfect. So, Naresh, when it comes to leadership, or wanting to be a better manager or a leader, right? There are thoughts around, hey, I want to be approachable. A lot of leaders say I have an open door policy, and but some leaders also are like, hey, we need to have some level of balance. Team members, employees should not think that they're your friends. There has to be some kind of a way to balance this, so they take your opinions and the way you lead seriously. It's not all super casual, super fun, so they don't end up doing the work either. In your
Mhm.
opinion, now again the whole cool CEO viral thing, your team also probably saw you a certain way. Maybe after the reel happened, or even not the reel, just the experience of that meeting happened, they might now see you a different way. Is there a way you balance the whole approachability, like without losing any kind of authority, without losing your your stance as a leader?
Yeah, yeah, true. So for me, like authority doesn't come up with by acting tough or being distant from your team. I think it comes from having a clear vision. What do you want them to achieve for the business? And my team respects me for having that honest and clear direction, and not for having a fancy title. So if I can consistently show them that, as a team, either me or collectively as a team, we are making the right decisions for the business, they will respect me. Whether those decisions, so the culture which we have in our business is whatever decisions we make should be right for the business and the growth of the business, and not favoring someone personally. And that is what they respect me for. And the other way is, if you go too much authoritative and you keep that distance and you don't want to be friendly with them, and your team is scared to talk to you, you will be the last person in the company to know if something is broken. So I think it's a balance. So you want to know about the things which are broken as soon as possible as a leader, uh, but you don't have to be really authoritative like that. I mean, they should respect you for having a clear strategy, vision for the business,
Yeah, I mean, you're really right.
and be
There has
friendly.
to, yes, be friendly. I think, yeah. Um, I think most people think only if you're authoritative, people will do the work for you.
Yeah.
Like they might do the work for you because they don't want to lose the job, but the moment they find a better job, they'll start disrespecting you.
Yeah,
Then
because
there is
that's the old 3 decades of stick and carrot approach, right? You use a stick and carrot, so you tempt them with bonuses and hike, or use a stick to get the work out of them. I think personally, I don't enjoy that kind of culture.
absolutely, absolutely. And honestly, if you want to get some extract value out of your team, they will, like we mentioned, that they will do more work willingly if you are more approachable, just, fair, friendly as well, right? I mean, I would do
Yeah,
a lot of things for my friends versus do something to a person who's rude just because they have a hold on me. I would try to get out of that grip as soon as possible. The moment I'm out, I might even like think about how to like take take some kind of payback time, right? But I will not do
yeah,
it with my friend. If I really like you and I know you have the right intent and the intention behind what you're asking me to do, even if it is a little bit of tough love, I'll be like, you're my friend, I know, this is the right thing to do. So that level of trust, I feel at this point of time, with the culture that people should be building and the kind that you're building, only comes where there is openness. Yeah, there's no
exactly.
like no lack of like, oh my god, should I even talk right now? And this reminds me of a very funny thing. I used to work like very, very many years back. I used to work for an organization where we had like those working cubicles, like a physical workspace. And when the CEO would like just take rounds, maybe he would like enter late in the office, like around like lunchtime or post lunch or pre lunch, not like super early in the morning. Everybody would just stand up as if he's the principal. And I would get so eked out by it because I was like new and I would put my earphones on and I was a designer. So I would like just focus on like being in that Zen mode. And people would get offended because I would not stand, like not the CEO, but other people around. And I said,
Yeah.
you are succumbing to these stupid rules. I don't want to. I don't want to just stand up to a random person because he's not talking to me. He's just like walking around. Why should I rant? Like he's not, we're not in school anymore, right? And I got
Yeah.
respected for that because I was not like a person who was trying to like manipulate and try to put up a good show, try to be friendly with the CEO just for the sake of it. I was trying to be real as a real person. And it worked out. So a lot of things like this are also there, that just respecting, like for leaders who feel authoritative approaches are better. I mean, reality is not far from that, is like far from the truth, because your team might just be making you feel good about your approach just to stay in your good books. That doesn't mean
Mm.
they really like you.
Yeah.
That is also a bubble that most leaders should take themselves out of.
Yeah, I would say if there are two people in my team, one is very confident and focusing on results, and the other person is giving me unnecessary respect and buttering. I would come to know about all those things as a leader very quickly. And in the long term, maybe in the short term, I might like that person, but in the long term, I want person who is delivering the result and is more confident and taking the ownership of the tasks they have been given.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, men is not always appreciated because there's no challenge, there's no fun in working with them, there are no opposing opinions, and there's only one person doing the thinking. So then
And
the
especially
creative
for
side.
startup founders, I think it's one thing I would say is that it's quite a lonely journey. Like you are taking a lot of decisions on a day-to-day basis, and if there is no one to challenge me, and if I all see people around me are yes men, I'm like, okay, no, we are not learning anything. We are not pivoting our startup. We are not coming up with new strategies. So we don't want yes men. We want people to challenge us and criticize our approaches, and then that's the only way we can refine our strategies.
Absolutely, absolutely. This has been great. I have one last question for you, and then we can wrap up. So, the whole conversation today has been around the culture that you're building, and thankfully, I also come from the same space. So, in your opinion, if more companies followed the kind of things that we're trying to build, the narratives we're trying to set in terms of leadership, culture building, all of that, what do you think could potentially change in the way companies look like? Would people change? Would performances change? Or would pressure of working change? Or all three at some level?
I think all three will change. I think the first it will be the pressure would disappear. Not the pressure to do a good job, but the fake pressure to of being washed all the time. And when the people feel trusted, they stop being anxious and they start doing their best work out of passion. And um, and I think. Um, a lot of companies are slowing down because of micromanaging, and once that pressure is off, people are more motivated to do the work. Ultimately, what you will see is the business is growing much more faster, so ultimately your performance will also go up as a business.
Perfect. Sounds great. I think, like you mentioned very well, the first thing that will definitely evaporate will be pressure, and I think there'll be more joy. There'll be more excitement. Sunday scaries will go.
Yeah.
You would not. A lot of leaders I had, coach. They would say, "Sonali, should we send like a motivational quote on WhatsApp on a Monday morning?" I was like, "No, nobody reads that, nobody wants to see that." And it's a weird way for you to sweep, like get a spot in their morning. But that's not nice, that's not appreciated, because you're reminding them of Monday. You're reminding them of work, you're reminding them that you exist. So that's not required. So definitely the pressure is something that companies should figure out how to deal with. and have the right intent around it. And so many people only think that all these culture building activities are good on paper, looks nice, looks great on social media, but there's so much business profitability on it, right? If I have a great team, automatically I will attrition will go down, I will retain people, I will attract the right kind of talent. And as a leader and as a organization founder as well, I will be at ease because I'm not constantly hiring, firing, hiring, firing. That loop has to
Yeah.
close at some point of time, right? The real joy is having people in your team for a long time. So the people have to grow with your organization, so you know that hey, we've touched lives in that aspect, that this person has been working with me. I mean, by long, we don't see 15, 20 years anymore, but at least 2, 3 years, right? At least a year and a half, right? Not just every month, every 2, 3 months that people are going and coming, going and coming. These are very important signs that organizations should understand. It's not always on the candidate. Something is really going wrong.
True.
Awesome. Naresh, this has been super fantastic. I myself have learned so much, and I'm very sure that people who are hearing you, watching you, listening to our conversation across platforms have also learned quite a bit. Just a quick thing, how was your experience?
It was great, Sonali. It was good to learn from your experiences as well. I'm also learning through this. There were some things which we didn't know until the reel went viral, that we have this awesome culture, and which a lot of people are missing out there. So we are also learning all these things as well. So certainly it will be. It was really good conversation with you, and let's stay in touch.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much. We will definitely stay in touch and figure out a way to like do more conversations, do more work and collaboration together. And everyone, thank you for being part of this conversation. You can watch the replays on LinkedIn and YouTube. You can check out Naresh and chat with him on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you find him. The team is fantastic. Check out their product and their work as well. And I will see you again in the next conversation. Thanks a lot, Naresh. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.